This episode has been brought to you from the DGMS Studios, home of Don't Get Me Started, Lethal and Mully Live and Surftown. Found at Spotify, Amazon, Apple Music and wherever you listen to your podcast. Welcome to Lethal and Mully Live, the podcast where we look into the wild, the wicked and the wonderful. I'm Lethal.
And I'm Mully. Together we're your guides through the chaotic universe of pop culture, current affairs, interviews and everything in between.
Each week we'll bring you the hottest topics, the craziest stories and the interesting guests. We have debates, laughter and maybe a few surprises along the way.
Wherever you are tuning in, from your car, your couch or wherever you find your podcast fix, we are here to entertain, inform and keep you company.
So grab your favourite snack, settle in and get ready for a wild ride. It's time to get lethal. And remember, stay curious and keep it real. Hello, good evening and welcome to Lethal and Mully Live, the podcast that brings you the news that have pricked our ears and hopefully yours too. From rocket ships to the advancing Grey Army to an old Aussie larrikin. We will try to get through most of them, but we'll try our best. But before all that, let me introduce. Ladies and gentlemen, brace yourselves. Today, I have the absolute pleasure of introducing a catalyst of creativity, a maestro of engaging discourse, with boundless reservoir of knowledge and unparalleled flair for storytelling. My co-host is just not a voice. He's the heartbeat of our podcast. Together, we're about to embark on a thrilling journey through the realms of ideas, insights, and inspirations. He is my wingman. He is the Iceman. And finally, he's sober. Mully, how are you, mate?
God, I was looking around for Billy Connolly or Robin Williams and you kept looking at me and I thought, oh, I've never heard such things, but I'm well, thank you.
Now, you remember the Iceman, Top Gun?
Yeah, vaguely. Look, I'm not much of a movie man, but yeah, that was the movie, right? And they all had nicknames.
And he was the Iceman.
Tom was Maverick.
Val Kilmer.
Now, why did you call me Iceman?
You're the Iceman. You're the cool, calm.
No, I'm bipolar or dyslexic or I'm on the spectrum somewhere, so I don't know if I'm Iceman or whatever. But you have a good excuse. I used to be blonde. I have an Irish grandfather, and I wasn't too smart to start with. And it looks like I am dyslexic, so I can't be too bloody clever or Iceman at all.
Well, you're putting words together. That's a bonus. Val Kilmer, who unfortunately died, as the Pope this week. Any thoughts?
Normally I don't have much thoughts on Pope's passing because there's a lot of stuff that goes on in the background, a lot of politics because it's a position of power, influence and money. But apparently I read a lot of articles by a lady in Melbourne called Caitlin Johnston, and she's very astute and she takes on the system. And she doesn't like the Catholic Church because of a tragedy that happened within her family, but she said that the Pope was a good guy because he used to ring the Catholic diocese in Gaza every night to see how they were all going. Poor buggers over there underneath American bombs. He was a caring, really genuine guy. Yeah, so who will they get next?
We'll find out.
Well, I wonder if he's an Englishman.
We never know.
Have they ever had an English Pope?
Not sure. We'll find out soon once that little white plume starts.
Well, there's a lot of just over the pond or whatever you call it, the Irish, there's a lot of Catholics over there. Could have an Irish priest.
Good on them.
That'd be okay, but there'd only be one problem with that. You wouldn't be able to understand the bugger because his accent would be so big. Or if he was Scottish.
Well, we better move on, Mully. Jeez. I know what you like. So let's start with the Aussie larrikin. Hogs. If you don't know who that is, it's Paul Hogan.
Oh, Crocodile Dundee.
Better known as Mick Dundee from the Crocodile Dundee movies. Australia's highest grossing Australian movie of all time. It cost $8.8 million to make and made $358 million box office worldwide. It put Australia on the map in 1986 as Priscilla Queen of the Desert did in 1993. He's in Sydney at the moment to promote the new release of Crocodile Dundee, the Encore Cut. It's being made in 4K. He did an interview at the Australian over the weekend titled Coffee and a Smoke with the very excellent Paul Hogan by Cameron Stewart. You must remember the Paul Hogan show.
Oh, I do, and I remember Paul Hogan too. Now, wait a minute. He's back in Australia and he's re-releasing, or there's another version of Crocodile Dundee.
Yes, it is, and they're making it into a 4K movie. Now, there's a little bit of upset there of cancel culture.
Oh,
They're
why?
cutting
Why?
bits out, which we'll talk about later. But it's been almost 40 years since Hogan and a group of mum and dad investors took a punt on funding a budget movie with a corny script set in the middle of nowhere. Crocodile Dundee.
So how many years ago?
In 1986 it was released.
So this is the gift that keeps giving.
For him, absolutely it does.
And I believe he used to be a painter. He used to paint.
Yeah, on the Sydney Harbour Bridge.
Lee, I've had a time working as a painter. I think I might go and write a movie. Is that where he got his ideas from?
Well, I'll tell you now. Remember him when he did throw another shrimp on the Barbie?
Yes.
So massive return for Australia. And Bob Hawke said to Hogan, mate, you need to go overseas and publicise this. And he did. It was during a tourism-related visit to New York in the mid-1980s that the most unlikely chapter in Hogan's life unfolded. He was walking back to his hotel, watching the madness of a Manhattan rush hour unfold, and he was thinking how an Australian from the outback might handle this. So I thought to myself, how about creating a fish out of water? New York, the citiest city in the world, and the Northern Territory was as far away as you could get. Hogan got back to his hotel and started writing the script in block letters on a legal pad. He said he wrote it all in a month.
There you go.
And that was it. That was Crocodile Dundee. He got the inspiration from Manhattan and thinking, what's the furthest place away from here? Northern Territory.
I do like inspiration. Sometimes it hits me, sometimes it doesn't, but I'm getting a flash of it right now because of my painting past. And what I'm thinking is not only can let's you and I sit down and write a movie, but Bob Hawke, you mentioned, our fierce, wonderful, great, fantastic Prime Minister, got on board and backed it. Maybe we can do the same, Lee.
You never know.
Let's go. Albo's up for election at the moment. If he gets in, got a few Labor Party connections.
I can write it down all in block capitals. I can do that.
Well, I've got a few political connections. Why don't we go down and see him, say, look, we've got this new Aussie blockbuster movie script. What will we call it? Painter on the Loose?
Well, we'll work it out. Kerry Packer, who knew Cornell through their collaboration on the World Series cricket, initially said he would invest in the movie until an advisor told him it was a bad idea and he pulled out. Apparently, Packer is said to have regretted that decision all his life. And he went with hat in hand to the mum and dad's, and also he remortgaged his home to pay for it.
Let's not go to mum and dad's with our ideas. Let's go to some of Australia's billionaires. What about Twiggy Forrest? He's a mining magnate. He's got a quid.
Oh, I know a few.
Do you?
So let's think about it later.
Do they like to drink coffee, beer, or Chardonnays?
All three at once, I think.
Well, let's invite him out for a little tipple.
We can. Now, Hogan was saying the only downside for him was suddenly becoming an international movie star. He said that's when he lost his privacy overnight. A problem from someone who he says is not good with fame. For a time, he said, everybody recognised me in Australia, but I could go to Europe or America and no one knew me. Then all of a sudden, I lost all that and became Mick Dundee.
I will be right, because nobody knows who we are anyway.
But this was the best bit. He says, there was one thing worse than being rich and famous, though. He said he did TV for a week for Mike Willesee. I was famous but poor. That sucks, you know. I had my day job on the bridge and people recognised me going to work.
And he got there late because he was signing autographs.
Oh, can you imagine having all that fame and you're going, hey,
he's a painter.
Hogs.
He's a bloody
and he's
painter.
going to work.
He's like us. In fact, he's not even dressed very well.
Oh, it's funny. And so it says, when Delaney oversaw the restoration of Crocodile Dundee for the encore cut, there was only one scene that was judged to have aged badly. That was where Dundee met a transgender woman named Gwendolyn.
Oh, I remember that. And he grabbed
in
her.
New York and grabs her groin.
Right.
Now, he said, Hogan is not a fan of cancel culture, describing it as often being oversensitive, but he agreed with the decision to cut that one scene. He said, I agreed with it coming out. It's out of character for Mick Dundee to be groping someone. I don't think it's out of character at all. I mean, most people would do that, or would they?
Well, you're asking me. I don't know. I've never had such experiences or opportunities, but I'd imagine if you're a normal Aussie bloke and you're out on a Friday, Saturday night and you've had a couple of drinks, well, quite a few drinks, right? And you're going home and you're propositioned by somebody and you're uncertain. Well, what are you going to do? Are you going to say, can I see your driver's license? You know, you're in a dark alley. Can I see some ID, please? You're not. You're going to go, well, look, if you want me to go that way with you, I need to test the tackle, the merchandise. So can I have can I use the word, can I have a feel? Because it sounds bad. But
It's like the
at
old
least
thing
a
where I was with a mate and he come running out the room crying, saying it's a boy. And we never went to Thailand again.
We could get cancelled just by talking like this.
Oh, we could.
We'd be right. You know why we can't get cancelled? Because we've only got 15 listeners.
If that. So this is the last bit. He said the success of Mick Dundee was because he was a regular sort of guy and you could relate to him.
Yeah, very true. See, this is another thing about Australians. We don't like people who put themselves up as heroes. We like anti-heroes, people who are doing something special, but they're just one of us.
Yeah, good on you, Hodes. Keep going, mate. He's 85.
Is he?
He's 85. I would recommend you get in the Weekend magazine and reading the article. Interesting.
Where's all this come from?
The Australian.
That's the Saturday newspaper.
Yeah. over the
Murdoch's
weekend.
paper.
What? Murdoch, yeah.
Yes, Murdoch's paper. That's his baby.
It's his baby.
Oh, I mentioned, I let out a little Murdoch secret. Maybe I'll be cancelled by Rupert.
You might do.
He's in his 90s.
Next one, the rocket ship. Now, you know about Jeff Bezos, Blue Origin.
He owes me some money, actually.
He does.
Yeah, he's bloody slow paying it. Jeff, if you're listening, mate, I want you to reduce my payment from 90 days down to 7. So when I get my commission limit, send it straight away. Jeez, man. You want me to go painting harbour bridges just to feed myself and bring some bread into the house?
This is an article from Gemma Tognini that wrote about Katy Perry and the other girls that took a flight in Jeff Bezos' rocket ship that really looks like a penis, I think. It's a phallic symbol has been
Aren't all rockets
said.
phallic symbols?
You see the head of it, then you'll see what I'm talking
Oh,
about.
careful with your wording there, my man.
So she started off by saying, if you're looking for an example of everything that's wrong with the mainstream narrative right now, and with media more broadly, boy, do I have a cracker for you. A couple of days ago, a pop starlet, Katy Perry, remember her? She kissed a girl and she liked it. Big deal, she says. Dressed in a figure-hugging navy blue onesie and with a full face of makeup, was punted into the stratosphere in a rocket owned by billionaire Jeff Bezos.
Wait a minute. Describe the onesie, please.
You know what a onesie is.
Yes,
it's a
I do, but-
one-piece suit.
Yeah, but can you read out the description that this lady...
In a figure-hugging navy blue.
That was the adjective I was after, you see, because when the men are in their figure-hugging onesie astronaut suits or cosmonaut suits, nobody comments. Unless, of course, it was Nuno Ferreo, you know, he used to have tights. Maybe, imagine him going up.
No thanks.
Imagine his order on his little onesie. Can I have one that's rather tight around the waist, please?
Technically speaking, Perry went into space. It was an 8-minute ride, 100 kilometres above the surface of the Earth, just a smidge past what's known as the Kármán line, which is a recognised point of which outer space begins. Kind of like going a smidge beyond Katoomba and calling it the Outback. So they just went into it, and it was remote controlled. They didn't do anything.
No scientific experiments?
3 minutes.
3 minutes?
They were in zero gravity. An 8-minute ride.
Wait a minute. The whole thing from start to finish was 8 minutes.
8 minutes.
And how much did she pay for that?
Well, apparently, if you have $500,000 US lying around.
Oh, for 8 minutes of thrills.
So if you Google Perry, her media coverage describes her as an astronaut.
You're kidding me.
No disclaimers or qualifiers or any context. In the words of one social media pundit, if floating around in space for 8 minutes in a remotely piloted aircraft makes them astronauts, well, my friends, I'm a gynecologist.
Nearly every bloke on the planet would claim that one.
Oh, mate.
But did you also see a headline that came through this week? An American astronaut by the name of Don Pettit came back to Earth. He'd been up on the International Space Station
For 9 months.
Yeah, 220 days. And he had his 70th birthday up there, and I believe he's been into space before. Now, I think he's qualified to be an astronaut, don't you?
Yeah, for sure.
8 minutes, that's a joke.
This is what they're saying. So as a publicity stunt is top notch. As always, it's about what lies beneath. In a world where post-truth and my truth fight for supremacy with the actual truth, in a world where, for generations, women have fought to be recognised for their achievements, in a world where young girls are being raised to see themselves as worthy rather than appendages of a man, this episode, this message is screwed the truth. Reality Mully is optional. So she's attacking them for what they're trying to portray. A meme was Kate Perry. She was standing in a puddle and the title was, "Oh, and now she's a deep sea diver."
Well, I was going to say we could go down to a track and field event when nobody's there. We could put on our figure hunting tights, even colourful singlets, line up on the 100-yard dashing lines, get somebody there with a stopwatch and bang, off we go, and we can run as fast as we could go. And we can publicise ourselves as would-be Olympian hopefuls for the coming 2032 Olympics in Brisbane.
You up for it?
Yeah, mate. How do you think you'd look in the tight singlet, coloured singlet? Do you have a preferred number?
3.
3, all right. Well, I'll have 7. I like 7. And my favourite colour is blue, but I want white pants. But
Same here.
I don't want figure-hugging pants.
Aqua, maybe.
No, I want white floppy pants.
So she put this as the last bit. I cannot be a medical doctor. I'm not smart enough. Neither could I be a vet. I would spend all day playing with the dogs. I cannot win Wimbledon no matter how hard or as much as I train, and I definitely cannot be a catwalk model. I don't have the required assets.
So she's an astronaut.
So she's an astronaut.
Why doesn't she just be real and say, I'm a pop singer and I love being a pop singer and I'm making squillions every time I put out a new song?
There is no real, mate. One day, mate, the truth will come out. So we hurry on, Mully. We get on now to the cashed up grey army bringing salvation to towns.
Are they?
They are.
What, with brass bands?
No.
Do they have uniforms and
with
caps?
the finances that they're bringing? It says, slowly but surely, a grey army is marching on many of Australia's biggest regional towns, replacing youngsters chasing careers and a faster pace. So they're coming into towns. There's a top 10 towns here that they're moving into, and 6 of them is in Queensland.
Wait a minute. When you say the grey army, you're meaning retired baby boomers.
Absolutely.
Who are cashed up.
We all know what the grey army is.
Yes.
They've taken over our favourite coffee shop, Mully.
Yes, they have, haven't they? Yes, I recognise them. Nearly every single one of them's got grey hair. There's 1 or 2 there that have no hair.
They can't help it.
So they're bringing salvation. I immediately thought there'd be a brass band, maybe even trumpets, trombones, the uniforms, the black uniforms with the red stripe around the hats. Oh, that was the wrong Salvation. That was the Salvation Army people. So I was a bit confused to start with. So they're bringing salvation to smaller towns because they're going there with money.
Yeah, they are.
But they're likely to be pensioners or superannuation people. They don't spend very freely.
I don't know.
Unless it's Chardonnays at 5 o'clock.
So this is the places: Ipswich, Gold Coast, Moreton Bay, Wynnum, Melton, Casey, Brisbane, Logan, Hume, and the Sunshine Coast.
Wait. Some of those places are at the back end of nowhere. Why would they go there?
Well, they are. All we've
I know
got,
why they're going there.
the 3, which is Wyndham, Melton, and Casey, and Hume, they're Victoria. The rest is all Queensland.
I know why they're going to those places that are not glamorous, because their grandchildren live there, because their grandchildren can't afford homes. They can't buy, and that's affordable rent. So they go and live in these suburbs that aren't that affluent with status and a lot of money. So the Grey Army's going there to visit them.
As per normal, Brisbane gets 1,430,000 of them. Gold Coast gets 772, and the Sunshine Coast gets nearly 500,000.
Who does this counting?
Yeah, a demographer, Bernard Salt, in Saturday's Inquirer.
So somebody actually has done the count and outed himself.
Yeah, again, if you look at the statistics there and they have graphs and everything, you just go, wow.
Because sometimes, when things happen, people say, oh, they did this or they say that, and nobody identifies who they are. So is this guy brave to out himself? I'm the Grey Army head counter.
Yeah,
is he paid for that?
Who knows? Now, the other part I want to get onto, which is probably along their lines, is are the old ways the better ways? Another article that was put by a lady named Nikki Gemmell. Now, she put, my dishwasher is broken. The repairman will take a while. I have taken to the sink again. There is a soldering sense of peace to this old way, this meditative way that caught me by surprise. I bought a dish rack, placed a tea towel under it, and settled into the rhythm of manual domestic labour in a way I hadn't thought for years. I hope that you're enjoying the podcasts and the content that we're bringing to you each week. I want to take a moment to invite you to support the show. Your contributions help us continue creating high-quality episodes, bringing in exciting guests and exploring the topics you love. Every bit helps, whether it's a small donation or signing up for our Patreon account. By supporting us, You're not just helping keeping the lights on, you're becoming part of our community and helping us grow. To show our appreciation, we offer exclusive perks, behind-the-scenes content, and so much more for our supporters. So if you love what we do and you want to see us thrive, please consider signing up at buzzsprout.com/don't get me started. Support the show. Thank you for being part of our journey, and let's keep the conversation going.
Unbelievable. This is all in this newspaper.
It is.
So great headlines. There's all sorts of things happening around the world. Will the San Andreas fault line open up and swallow half of California? How's that crazy new president, Mully, going down in Argentina? All this stuff happening all around the world. This lady's writing about her dishwasher falling.
Well, maybe we should get a new newspaper over the weekend to look through, see what's happening.
No, I kind of like the fact that you've got away from the big, dramatic current affairs that are happening around the world. Everybody's talking about that. You've gone for the everyday trivia. Down to a failed dishwasher.
These are little articles that people would skip over, but it's very interesting. I'll read another bit here, which it says, there's a movement sweep in social media called Grandma Core. For younger generations, it's a world of gardening, crochet, bird watching and crafting. I stepped into this plane when my dishwasher broke, and it plunged me back to a simpler and quieter ways. Studies show that Grandma Core is good for mental health. And as I stand quietly at my sink, my movements, Chinese whispers of my grandmother, who lived to a lively 101. It's an antidote, a medicine balm for the frenzy of a screen-bombed life.
It's amazing. So Grandma Core.
Grandma Core. I've never heard of it before, and that's what pricked my ear. What the hell is Grandma Core?
Well, I wonder what Grandpa Core is.
If there is such a thing.
Well, if there's not, let's launch it. How would you describe Grandpa Core? Oh, I know. We're hand sawing a piece of wood. Instead of having an electrical saw, doing it by hand. Oh, it's the rhythm of life. Oh, that's the rhythm of my heart. And I just keep going and I enter into some sort of Zen zone. Oh, I know. I'm going to the petrol station. And as I stand there holding the nozzle, whatever the thing is.
The nozzle.
The nozzle.
But he's probably snozzled.
I'm contemplating deeper mysteries of life, and everything in this fast-paced, crazy life slows down. And then you can even have one or two little sniffs of the petrol.
You could do. This is the last bit that she put. A dear friend in her 50s uprooted her entire existence not too long ago. She went through a bitter divorce and ended up with a settlement. Not enough for a home in the city, but a place far away in a new life. Her little house with a joyous garden skirting it rang with light and happiness. A knitting basket waited in readiness for her special lounge chair, and also that she had a proper laundry at last, just like our mothers had. How it thrilled her at that she had a laundry, running her fingers along surfaces, and also was cooing with delight. She was a feminist and wanted a laundry, and those two concepts are not mutually exclusive. We all wanted what Lou had. She was happy in her cherished place.
Oh my God. Well, I'm just seeing, Grandpa Core out in his shed down the back, Yeah, I'll throw it in a bin
That's
too.
what I think of that.
I mean, it's crazy. Here he is now with his hammer and nail, not a electric nail gun. What are you doing, Grandpa? Grandpa's just chilling out here, man. I'm making a little bird bath for Grandma. She's into Grandma Core and bird bath.
It's a Grandma Core.
In the backyard, we're going to feed birds every day, and it's just going to help us to peace out, because we're just back from our trip around Australia with all the Grey Army, and it was so fast. Every night we had to sit down and watch the sunset and drink Chardonnay, and we talked about our new hips and our new arteries and our new reconstructed knees. I'm so tired. I have to come home to my sacred shed in the backyard and build a bird bath. Anyway, how are you, Johnny? How are you going at school? Have you learned who the Prime Minister of Australia is yet?
Bring back Katy Perry. Let's move on, Mully. Discipline. So this is the last word by Steve Waterson, and it's on about discipline in schools and what he remembers and whether it was a good thing to have it or not so. So he put here, a few teachers embrace their duty to inflict righteous pain with reformist zeal, but most seem to regard it as a distasteful part of their role. The strap kept us all in line. I can still remember the agony that tucked your hands tightly in your armpits for about an hour afterwards. For the disruptive boys, lessons passed in sullen silence and permitted the rest of us to study. Brutal by today's standard and occasionally sadistic, but perhaps necessary. Had we not been tamed by violence, we would have learnt a little, and I doubt any of us would have made it to university. Last month, Thailand became the 68th country in the world to ban all forms of corporal punishment for children, not just at school, but also in home. Who knows when Australia might follow?
Man, I think the people who have been writing these articles in this newspaper, I'd scrunch it up and throw it away too. They're getting off on nostalgia. There's something wrong when you reach a certain age and you look around, you've experienced everything. I bet you most of these people are privileged. They've just had great lifestyles and hopped on planes and flying around the world. And all of a sudden they're tired and they're wanting to just hanker back to the old simple days. There's something very indulgent middle class in all of this, I find.
Now, can you remember your school days? I remember mine really well. Now, I love school.
Were you smashed?
I love school.
And bashed?
And I thought I was a good student. But being in that environment or you're associating with your friends or other undesirables, I remember being in the art class and having a chalk thrown at me like an Exocet missile that hits me.
From the teacher?
In the head. An eraser smashes me on the chest. A T-square smashed over my hand. I've had the cane. I've had a cricket bat. I've been kicked up the arse. I've had slipper. I've had the slipper on a thin pair of shorts,
my God,
which hurt like hell.
What did they do to the bad students?
Oh, God.
Did they have a stock out in the playground and kids could go past and throw tomatoes at them?
Did it hurt me? Did it make me annoying or unsettled or mentally unstable? No. I took my punishment and moved on.
I reckon this is a dud argument. I've got a better idea. If people are worried about what's going on in schools and they want to put them into line, sort out the curriculum. The curriculum at the moment is a mess. Kids have lost a handle on basic knowledge, and also they're not pushed to excel. One of the key mottos of most schools should be this: your best is expected. And the curriculum should be of a standard that best for every student is that they get up to a certain percentage out of 100, say 80, 85. Of course, some can't. But let's tighten it up. If they're going to have discipline, let it be academic discipline, because the curriculum is sound and it's useful and it's challenging and it actually makes you learn. Or, God forbid, think. Because a lot of parents are to blame here. They say, I don't care too much how my kid goes to school. I just want them to be happy. Oh, bullshit, man. Happiness is overrated anyway. If I've going to have kids, I don't want them to go to school to be happy. I want them to go to school to learn.
Yeah.
Could you imagine sending a doctor to college, say, don't worry too much about it, doc, just be happy, come out and, you can stitch me up here or there. I don't care if you miss a little bit and, or an airline pilot.
Which of all the topics we've spoken about today, what's your favourite?
This one.
The discipline.
Yeah, because it's rubbish. It's the wrong emphasis. You can't, if you are going to train to be an airline pilot, you better learn. You better get on top of your body of discipline, because guess what, mate? When you fly that plane or you get the controls, you don't know what you should know, or you haven't learnt what you should have learnt, you're going to crash. It's the same with McDonald's. McDonald's send all their managers to McDonald's school, because there's a lot that you have to learn. And if you don't, imagine a customer comes in and he wants his 50-cent soft serve, and the guy hasn't studied correctly in McDonald's University. He doesn't know how to calibrate and operate the soft serve machine. He's going to give him a dud bloody ice cream.
Mate, great advice from you. As always, that's why you're sitting opposite me. Good on you, mate. Now, we come to the end of our podcast. We would love you to comment if you think that we're right in what we're saying, or you have an alternative argument. Please send your email to lethalandmullylive@gmail.com. That's lethalandmullylive@gmail.com, all lowercase. Let us know what you think. And so until next time, please look after yourselves and be kind to one another.